Today's video, what did the British ever do for us?
We are Lisa and Greg, an American couple living abroad in Spain. If you are curious about the crazy, funny, and surprising differences between the US and Europe, you came to the right place. And we are on our way to 10,000 subscribers. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. And you get to be a part of the party. All right. This is Reef Rebels.
Oh, subscribe and like.
Oh, dang. Okay. Hold on. Subscribe and like. And of course, we will include a link in the description so you can go and support him and help him get up to, what is he at? 28,000? Help him get to 29,000.
30.
So, okay, 30. It's like an auction.
I'll take 30.
All right.
I'm going to get to 30,000.
Cool. So we're actually kind of excited about this one because, you know, we just kind of had a discussion yesterday and we were like, you know, we haven't spent as much time on the UK. And so go ahead. No. We haven't. And we wanted to, we want to go there. Yeah. I found some food videos for the UK, some street food. Right. And this is just, I think this is like history. Yeah. So and obviously they have tons of endless amount of history there. Mm-hmm. So, and I've always had some weird, I don't know. For some reason, I always wanted to see boys choirs in cathedrals. Like that was my thing. Cause I was in choir when I was in high school, I was in choir. And so I always wanted to see that. So, yeah. And I'm interested as far as the UK, I want to see the things that are not big tourist attractions. Like I don't care about necessarily. I mean, it'd be cool if I saw Big Ben or whatever. Right. But I want to see all the really cool cobblestones, old homes where all the locals go. Yeah. The only thing that I would want to see really, really touristy is the Stonehenge. Right. But other than that, I'm fascinated with your guys' countryside. Right. So this is the first in many. We've done a couple before, but we're just really going to start focusing more on the UK, and anything, as always, that you recommend for us, go ahead and include that in the comments, and we will do our best to watch those videos and react to them. All right. Let's find out what the British did for us. Oh, no. All right, here we go. Probably a lot. Oh, yeah, probably. All right, here we go. Let's see how this goes.
British, ever do for us scientifically?
Apart from the sanitation, the medicine, education, wine, public order, irrigation, roads, a fresh water system, and public health.
He's about to say nothing.
So
he names everything.
Except for everything. Oh, it was nothing.
What have the Romans ever done for us?
British masters.
Our education system regards the British as brutal colonists who enslaved populations, subjugated the world. Out of roughly 200 countries in the world today, the Brits colonised, settled or invaded about 90% of them, which I think is fairly impressive, or at least I think the Romans would think it was impressive.
It is impressive for such a little country. Yeah. Or a little region. Yeah, it's impressive.
Would we have been better off without those bastard Brits? Now, as it happens, they may have some redeeming features. If you look at their scientific contribution, at least. Now, this is a slightly different video to normal, and I'm going to talk about the British scientific and technological achievements and inventions, even though I could mention trivial things like the British invention of some of the best countries in the world, like Australia, Canada, Singapore, New Zealand, America. Well, maybe not invented, but they were certainly highly influenced.
Colonized. Yeah.
Or even the only decent country in the Middle East, which is Israel, courtesy of Mr. Balfour, and many other countries.
They did. They had control, or what?
I don't know if that's
a good thing.
A good thing.
Yeah.
But
there's a negative history there with Israel. And
at least from what I know. I could be wrong, though. So I'm open to that. But anyway, we shall continue.
All right.
In the Middle East, which is Israel, courtesy of Mr. Balfour, and many other countries that have a great deal to be proud of, such as Malaya, South Africa, Fiji, Kenya, Botswana, Sri Lanka, India, all wonderful British creations. But we're a science channel and we're going to look at science. Now, the list is long of scientific achievements, and I'm only going to look at the really big ones and some of the more important ones. Let's start. Let's start with...
What did that say?
Let's start.
British inventions. Oh, like and follow. Oh,
Reef rebels. Yeah.
Oh, he calls them reef
Let's start
rebels.
with transport and engines. So the British invented the railways, steel tracks, railway locomotives. In fact, wherever the British went, railways followed. So they put railways in Germany, India, South America.
Really?
And of course, everybody copied that. Then we have the modern bicycle, initially called...
What? 1885 Rover safety bicycle. Okay.
Oh, cool. Like the modern bicycle.
Yeah.
Because then they have weird bicycles.
Yeah.
Like with big wheel, one big gigantic wheel.
One big wheel and one little wheel in front. Yeah,
so I wonder if they made it more sensible.
Yeah.
Then we have the modern bicycle, initially called the Rover safety bicycle, apparently. Chain drive, caster steering and relatively small wheels. Invented by the Rover company. In fact, in Poland, the word for bicycle is Rover.
Oh,
yes,
cool.
It's the same company that makes Land Rovers. Now, the British obviously invented the first engines, which was the steam engine, and that broke us free from back-breaking animal and human-powered devices. Now, while the British were inventing the steam engine, they, of course, had to invent the piston, and more importantly, the piston ring that seals the piston.
Really?
A truly remarkable technological invention, which is even now being developed further.
Yeah.
And the piston ring is the basis for petrol engines and diesel engines. In fact, actually every engine. So no Brits, no engines. Next, they invented the first engine-powered ships, obviously steam-powered. Ships' propellers, steel ships, the steam turbine, initially for powering ships, but now it powers the generators in every coal electricity generating plant and every nuclear generating plant. So that's about 50% of all the electricity that's generated today, all courtesy of Mr. Parsons. Then we have the jet engine. Yes, the Germans independently invented it in the Second World War.
Oh, wow.
The turboprop engine invented by the Brits, the first turboprop aircraft.
Okay.
So if you don't fly in an airplane powered by a jet engine, which was largely due to the Brits, it's a turboprop airplane, which was invented by the Brits. And of course, the turboprop is the basis of the gas turbine, which is used to generate another 20% of the world's electricity. We also have
how it evolves.
Yeah.
Like their inventions have evolved into something greater and greater and greater.
Right.
Smarty pants.
Generate another 20% of the world's electricity. We also have the modern car layout. Front drive, transverse engine, independent suspension, CV joints on the front wheels. Before that, companies tried all sorts of arrangements. So, for example, the Germans famously had the engine and everything at the back. But since 1959, most cars use the Mini Minor equivalent. Ever been on a vehicle that uses steel wheels? Pretty uncomfortable. But don't worry, the Brits invented the pneumatic tyre. So it looks like the British have invented pretty much everything that runs on the road.
Right.
They didn't invent the road. That's just about it. Well, actually, they did.
Oh.
I knew it.
They didn't invent the road. That's just about it. Well, actually, they did. Tarmac roads, or tarmacadam, was invented by a Scot and a Welshman. Then we have steel bridges. And here's a very interesting one, the modern traffic roundabout in the 1960s.
Oh, no way.
Roundabout.
I think I knew that.
Oh, that they invented the roundabout?
I think so.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I knew it came somewhere from Europe.
Oh, why didn't they bring that to the United States?
They did. They tried to.
Oh, it just didn't.
But just like everything else in America, the Americans have to do it their own way. And I remember watching a video where they talked about how the Americans made it almost like less of a roundabout and more like a straight.
Oh.
And so it was still, it was dangerous and you know,
they made it so it was just like that,
right?
Instead of actually going around,
right. Yeah, well, the Americans always doing something.
Always doing something.
Roundabouts have been around since way before the 1960s, but the Brits had the inspired idea of changing the rules for the roundabout. In other words, yield to enter, which massively increases the efficiency of the roundabout.
Right.
And we have the cat's eye reflector.
Oh, what the?
Cat's eye reflector.
I have no idea what this is. Road stuff?
So it looks like it's in the middle of a road. So I guess in America, we do have reflectors on the ground like that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So that looks
in
like
the
it's
center,
made
like
of
that.
steel or something.
Oh, what is this?
So it's a reflector in the road.
Oh.
So
Caterpillar tracks, which the Brits invented just before they invented the tank.
oh wow.
So there's much more we could talk about in terms of transport technology, but we must move on.
You know what I just thought of that would be super cool is if there's a museum somewhere in the UK of all of this stuff.
Yeah, there has to be.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
If you know of that, let us know. We would love to see that when we go, because we are going there.
To other industrial and technological stuff. Now, of course, Britain famously started the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th century, and it's debated why it started in the United Kingdom, but clearly there was something special going on that made that spark. And of course, it started in the textile and agricultural industry. In the textiles, they invented the flying shuttle, powered looms, the spinning mill for making threads. In fact, if you didn't have the Brits, you don't have the very fine modern clothing which we have now, which is also incredibly cheap compared with what it used to be. In the agricultural industries, there are all sorts of mechanical devices like the mechanical seed drill, the haymaking threshing machine, but also really important things like phosphate fertilizer production, selective breeding. But that's just the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. If you're going to have an Industrial Revolution, you need a big build buildings. And so the British gave us Portland cement, a revolutionary type of cement. Where would we be without it? Then we had things like steel boring machines, which led...
Oh, that looks like a lathe.
Where would we be without it?
Oh,
then we had things like steel boring machines, which led to the steel, the modern lathe, which is ubiquitous in metal cutting.
Yay.
Hyper-accurate machines for measuring things, the micrometer, for instance.
Oh, cool.
You cannot have...
Lisa's dad was a machinist.
Yeah. So,
actually, I was too.
Yeah, you were too. Yeah, but
so we know about these things.
I grew up around all those machines and little metric gadgets.
Yeah.
Modern engineering, unless you have hyperfine methods for measuring things. We have stainless steel, the production of polyethylene.
Oh, what the?
Wow.
Very famous practice, plastic used in just about everything. The steel hammer for forging steel and making it much stronger.
Oh, cool.
The Bessemer steel process, the first mass production of steel.
That looks super dangerous.
Yeah, or super safe. I mean, I'm just being sarcastic. But it does not look like your mother would want you doing that. No.
And then the mass production of glass using the now ubiquitous virtually tin flotation method. All right, let's go a little bit electrical. So the first long-distance communication cables were invented by the Brits, the coaxial cable. This was used for underwater cables to link the UK to America and other places.
Oh, wow.
The first intercontinental communication, the birth of the internet in a sense. It was the first time that we could communicate all around the world. The telephone, Alexander Graham Bell was a Scotsman. Television,
I knew that.
crystal, cavity magnetron. You've never heard of the cavity? It's in your microwave, but probably more importantly, the first radars to a large extent used the cavity magnetron, which was a revolution. Then if we go a little bit medical, we've got CAT scanners, ultrasound scanners. First town to have chlorinated water. How about the first electronic programmable computer to crack German codes in the second?
Wow. 1943.
Oh.
Wow.
Accurate navigation using highly accurate clocks, the chronometers, and the first workable atomic clock. Then we have the World Wide Web, a gas stove, tin cans, and a really big one. I know you've been wondering where I get to this one. an alarm clock
Oh.
that makes tea.
I was wondering.
Good job. Good job. It's a good invention.
I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
An alarm clock that makes tea.
Oh, we missed that
we
part.
missed that part.
We're too busy like.
We're too busy like we're amazed by the alarm clock that makes tea.
Oh,
wow.
are those common nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, well, I've had coffee. I have coffee machines where you set an alarm.
Is that what is kind of a premise of like a machine, a coffee machine, or?
Well, like with the coffee machine, you set an alarm. Mm-hmm. It starts brewing at a certain time. So I wonder if that's
what the intention or what it did back then. Yeah. But it was tea,
right? We're like super amazed by this.
I mean, did you guys know this? I mean, you probably knew.
They probably did. They're probably laughing at us.
How many inventions you had?
We're just regular Americans who don't know nothing.
I don't even know what was invented in America. So
that's true.
Whatever.
That's true.
Oh, cool.
Again, I could have added many, many more things, but let's go on to fundamental science, the stuff that all other science and technology actually depends upon. But before we do that, maybe just like and subscribe.
You got it.
How about the discovery of the proton, neutron, and electron? The discovery of the proton, neutron, and electron.
Chadwick.
Yeah. Rutherford, James Chadwick, and J.J. Thompson. Thompson.
Yeah.
The three building blocks of, well, frankly, just about everything, all discovered by Brits. And the Brits also discovered the opposite of matter, which is antimatter, by Paul Dirac. And more recently...
What the heck was in the water back then that you guys were all drinking and everybody just invented things?
The last particle in the standard physics model of just about everything, the Higgs boson, which was proposed by Peter Biggs.
What the?
God part.
Now let's go a little bit bigger, but not a great deal bigger. The atom. The model of the atom with a hard nucleus with the electrons flying around was essentially discovered by the British. And I'm being a little bit loose there because there is a famous New Zealander involved with this. But frankly, in those days, Kiwis were basically Brits. What about biology? Well, in my view, the two biggest advances in biology were both discovered by Brits. The first one is Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. And then you have the discovery of the structure of DNA at Cambridge University. Fundamental molecular biology, of which the whole DNA revolution has been based on. And yes, I know Watson was an American and Wilkins was a Kiwi. Anyway, of course, the discovery of the structure meant this explosion in growth of the whole DNA industry, effectively, such as DNA fingerprinting.
Became helpful.
Now let's go back to more basic, very fundamental, and possibly more important medicine. We have antiseptics, antibiotics, vaccines. All three invented by Brits. Let's go back to physics now. So we have Newton's laws of motion, Newton's laws of gravity. Where would we be without Sir Isaac Newton? We essentially couldn't predict anything. Back on to the physics, the laws of optics and the way that radio waves travel. Light, the laws of electromagnetic propagation in signals and wires. Scotsman James Clerk Maxwell's. You don't have any mobile phones or computers or communication cables without Maxwell. And then we have electromagnetic induction from Michael Faraday's. If you don't understand magnetic induction, there are no electric motors, there's no electric generators. Basically, the whole backbone of the electricity system, you owe it to the Brits. Or in mathematics, and there are a lot here, so I'm going to pick the really big one, which is the invention of calculus. Yes, there was another guy called Leibniz who also invented it at the same time, but essentially Newtonian calculus is at the basis of a huge amount of advanced science of engineering. It's as fundamental as algebra and arithmetic. Now, this list is not complete. There are literally a zillion other things that the Brits have contributed to. Actually, there is just one more.
Oh,
Keeps doing that.
Loo.
The what?
Now, the flushing loo.
Oh, thanks.
Flashing loo.
The flushing loo.
Flushing loo.
Toilet flushing.
Oh, the loo.
They call it the loo, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
The loo.
Now, obviously, much of what those British scientists did was based on other scientists from lots of other countries, and the Brits were just part of this magnificent thing which we call Western civilization. Of course, there were French and there were Germans, and the scientific development and advancement then spread to the United States and now to the Far East. But the contribution of the Brits were utterly fundamental on so many levels. Now, without those advancements, our lives would be short, harsh, and frankly, just bloody horrible. The world's population would still be about 1 billion, which is what it was in about 1800, rather than the roughly 8 billion that it is today without that wonderful science and technology. Now, if you add up all the bad things that the Brits may have done, you know, the Amritsar massacre, the Bengal famine, and
there isn't a country that hasn't done bad things, I don't think. I mean, maybe someone would claim there is, but I think back then it was a different time.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more barbaric.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All the other bad things that happened, albeit only occasionally considering the attitudes of the times. But even if you add all those up, it's not a drop in the bucket compared with what has been achieved and the lives that have saved. How many lives, how many babies,
CT
children saved by antibiotics,
vaccines,
and antiseptics, clean water, or the uses of electricity, communications and transport. Famines are effectively a thing of the past because, well, for one reason, we can ship food around from one place to another very, very easily. Now, look, it turns out that I was born in England, and even though I'm an Aussie, so I am biased. But I don't think it makes sense to be proud of what your ancestors did or were unless there's some evidence that you carry on those ideas, values and traditions. But even if you don't measure up to those ancestors or other people's ancestors, it's just bad form not to appreciate what those people did for us. The contribution of the Brits was truly incredible, and we should all be grateful that they came along and did more than virtually any other group to pull humanity out of the appalling, difficult lives that existed before the 1800s.
All right.
Yeah.
That's super interesting. So basically, the answer to the question, what did the British ever do for us? Basically everything.
Like, what did they not do?
Yeah, exactly. That's probably the better question. All right, let's take a look and see what the people got to say about this.
It's 4,800.
As a professional, lifelong British person.
That professional.
I'd like to thank all my ancestors for being really, really good at inventing stuff.
Yay.
All right, good job. Okay. The anti-British sentiment that permeates media, culture, and educational institutions in the UK often drowns out the astonishing achievements of this country. So, thank you for reminding us, weary Brits, that this great country has achieved, or what this great country has achieved. All right, we should teach this in schools. So many people have no idea what this small country have given to the world.
Yeah, that's what's super impressive about it. It's just such a small country but I don't know, a lot of brainiacs came from it.
Yeah, that's true.
And deep thinkers and philosophers, scientists, everybody. I mean, that's pretty amazing. It's remarkable, really.
By the way, I don't know if we said this, but this was a recommendation. So we do appreciate you recommending that. And if you have any other recommendations, let us know. As always, thank you for stopping by, and we will see you on the next video.
Bye.
Peace.